Alright, I'm just gonna walk through quickly how I have these two WeMo switches wired in a three-way setup. These two here, both in a three-way, and I'm gonna show you how I use this Android app called Automation Manager by Mike P to control these. So I've turned off the rules in this app. I'm gonna show you. So basically each switch individually can turn this light on and off, but if you leave one on and come to the second switch, you won't be able to turn the light back off without going back to the other switch. They won't turn off unless both are manually turned off. So basically that's all this app is doing. Enable rules, which I just turned back on. This app just saw that light turned on, so the app turns this light on, and the same with turning them off. It just sees that this one turned off and turns them off for you. In terms of wiring these, the colors on your switch, on your wires might be completely different than mine, but I'll walk you through really quick what's what. So let's look at this one here. So you've got your neutral wire, which if you've been hooking these up, I'm sure you've probably feel good about finding your neutral wire and hooking into it. So if you look at your WeMo switch, the neutral goes to neutral. The next thing for these is, like, I would completely disconnect every wire that you've got in here. Make sure none of them are touching. And then this is how I would trace these wires. But basically, like, you want to find your hot wires, and then there's going to be two wires that run from one box to the other box. In my particular configuration, that is this red wire right here. If it wasn't hooked up right now, this wire would just be a dead wire that runs to this. So you have the red wire that runs from box to box, and then there's actually a second wire, and it's this black wire with a piece of tape on it. The same thing, it just runs from one box to the other box. And then the way that I've got these hooked up, and this is just a fluke non-contact meter. You could go super cheap and just buy a test light. These are nice because you don't have to touch a stripped wire to see if it's live. But if you test this box, you're gonna see all these wires are dead except for this one. And if this red wire wasn't connected right now, it would also be dead, and there would be no live wires at all on this side. So you come back to this, and this is the side that actually has one live wire that feeds into it. So on this one, that is this second wire right here. So this wire, excuse me, it's this one right here. So this wire right here is live, and if you had everything disconnected and we're testing this box with power to it, this would be the only one that would be lighting up. So basically I'm going to show you where I've got this connected right now. So I have this going to the power side of the switch right here. This black wire is coming from the wall, and that's the live feed. And then the red wire I bundled with this. And the only reason being is that over here, we're going to feed this red wire straight over to the power side of this switch. So you're just feeding the 120 volts over here. So you've got full power coming to this switch, and then the other feeder wire, you're basically going to use, which you can see right here, I marked this one with tape. Get rid of this. The same thing where on this wire, the one with tape on it, is just a wire that runs from box to box. This wire here is the one that actually runs up to the light bulb itself. And then this box hooks into the bulb side of the switch. Over here, I have this one marked with a piece of tape, and this one feeds down into the bulb part here. So now you can see we figured out the power, the bulb, the neutral, and then ground on both of these is just to the copper ground wire. The only other trick I'll give you guys is if you don't know which wires are which, you can take a fluke like this one, or just a voltmeter. You can buy these for like probably $10 at Walmart, I think. But if you go to this setting here, this just tests for continuity. So basically, if you touch these together, they're gonna sound. You can run a wire off of one of these, and when you've got all these disconnected, you can test each wire and see which ones go from box to box. The other trick would just be to run a 9-volt, and you can run a 9-volt to one wire. And again, this would be when it's completely not energized, and just figure out which wire runs from box to box. But that's essentially it. So you have neutral, you have the red wire which goes from box to box, and I'm using this tied into the live feed from the house, which then goes to the power feed on the switch. This second wire is the bulb side of the switch, which goes to the second feeder wire that feeds over to the other box, and then the ground wire. And then on the second switch, I have the ground wire right here. I have the neutral wire here. This is the feeder wire from the other box that I want to go to the light bulb, and it's tied into the actual light bulb wire, as well as the light bulb side of this switch here. And then you have the red wire here, which is feeding power into the power side of this switch. So the same thing. That's it. It's pretty basic. I have had 4 sets of these running for 2 years with this exact configuration, using those WeMo manager rules. The only other way you could really control it without that WeMo manager, if you use Google Home, I'll just show you this really quick. I have Google Home where I've named one switch Soda 1, the other switch Soda 2, and the room that they're in is named Soda. So watch this. Hey Google, turn off Soda. So that would be the only way that you could get both switches shut off by anything. But it's obviously now the switches would be pointless. So I don't know. I think this is the best way, using this WeMo Manager app. You can get a burner phone from Walmart that can handle it, and just have it serve up your switches. That's it.